Yeah.
All right, I'll meeting the order to stand for the pledge and standing afterward for prayer by Pastor Rick.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Holy and living God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather this day. We ask that you bless the leaders of our village with the wisdom that they will need to make decisions that are fair and just for all of Blissfield. We ask you to watch over all the citizens of Blissfield, and especially our first responders who care for them and can come to them in times of utter distress. All of this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, sir. All right, so roll call, Lisa.
Mike Gunner,
Present.
Wendusa,
Here.
Bill Gritzmaker,
Here.
Sherry Luce,
Here.
Ken Nichols, Eric Rogers,
Here.
Timothy Waters.
Present. Okay, moving on to the agenda for tonight's meeting, we need to adopt that.
Move to approve the agenda of July 27, 2026 as presented. Support.
Second, Tim, to approve tonight's agenda, July 27, 2026 as presented. Any discussion? Not Lisa, call roll.
Eric,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yeah.
Tim,
Yeah.
Bill, Mike,
Carries. Moving on for eight. First, that list is the consent agenda memo. We discussed this with Danielle a few times. For sake of moving the meeting forward and whatnot, Danielle, you don't want to discuss this at all, or?
Yeah, the memo I shared with you guys, but because this one's not really gonna look any different than the minutes, but I just wanted to share that with the public as well, since it'll be new to them too, so that they would have what the rules are. I know you guys seen that already, but just information.
Then secondly, we do have a proclamation recognizing and congratulating Steve Shields. Steve Shields is retiring at the end of the month. Very thankful for all the work that he's done for the wastewater treatment plant, the dedication of the village. So I do have a proclamation, Steve, here. This one's for you. We do have one for the village. Maintain as well. It reads, proclamation hereby recognition of dedicated service and congratulations on retirement honoring Steve Shields. Whereas the village of Blissfield recognizes that dedicated public service is essential to the strength, safety, and well-being of our community. And whereas Steve Shields has faithfully served the village of Blissfield with professionalism, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to public service throughout his career. And whereas through his hard work, dependability, and willingness to serve, Steve has helped maintain and improve the infrastructure, services, and quality of life enjoyed by the residents of the village. And whereas Steve's knowledge, work ethic, and dedication have earned the respect and appreciation of his coworkers, village officials, and the community it so proudly served. And whereas after years of faithful service, Steve has chosen to begin a well-deserved retirement, leaving behind a lasting legacy of commitment, excellence, and service. Now, therefore, be it recognized that the village council, staff, and citizens of the village of Blissfield extend their sincere gratitude and appreciation to Steve Shields for his many years of dedicated service. We congratulate Steve on his retirement, and we wish him good health, happiness, and countless new adventures in the years ahead. May this next chapter be filled with family, friends, relaxation, and the opportunity to enjoy all the rewards for career well served. With heartfelt thanks and best wishes, presented on this 30th day of, well, will be the 30th day, but it's going to be the 27th day of July 2026. So, we do appreciate, again, like I said, your commitment and everything that you brought going through the process of the rebuild of the wastewater plant. And obviously your knowledge has been a great asset to the village. So generally we do get a picture for retirees with the plaque. And if you're okay with that, we'll leave this one with you, Steve. Thank you.
You want a picture? Can we do a picture?
Yeah. mine.
Come on, let's get it. You have coming up front.
Look, I would have gave you warning if I knew.
How many years have you been specifically with this? 16. I'm sure it's going to be right.
You have to move in, people.
Yes. There you go. Oh, yeah. You see that? Oh, you go. There you go.
Thank you.
Super.
Well, that drops out for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Congratulations.
Do you have any big plans moving forward? In particular that you'd like to share? Anything you want?
My youngest daughter just bought a house. We've been down there working for the last month or so, and she was due August 13th, so and third grandbaby, so. keep
Boy,
us
grand.
Busy there. And that. Other things, let's see if I can catch up on.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you again. Steve. Thank you.
Thanks again, Steve. Okay, moving on is our first round of public comment. Is there anyone who cares to address council regarding such? If you would, please approach the podium, state your name for the record. If not, there's also a second round at the end of the meeting. No one's interested. Now we'll move on, unfinished business. We do have up first the hydrant, fire hydrant policy. A lot of discussion on this one. Danielle, I'll turn it back over to you on discussion.
We didn't do the consent agenda.
Anyone?
Tricked you up.
Start with that. All right. Okay, so again, the new consent agenda, a lot of the topics of the day-to-day operations are things that really don't have a lot of discussion, much like Danielle mentioned earlier, the minutes. Sometimes bills or payroll, et cetera. So things that are going to try to streamline the meeting, but are still very transparent. And we would, if there's any questions from council or the public, we can pull those out of the consent agenda and discuss those in detail. So we'll start with that consent agenda, the minutes of July 13, 2026.
Move to adopt the July 27th, 2026 consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Sure. Okay, voted by Tim, second by Sherry to adopt the consent agenda as presented July 27, 2026. Any discussion, questions on it? All right, Lisa, call roll.
Bill,
Yes.
Gwen, Eric.
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Tim.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Danielle. Much faster than approving.
I know this was a.
I'll give you one.
A couple of meetings ago would have been perfect.
Yes.
All right, now we'll move on to unfinished business regarding the fire hydrant policy. And I'll turn it around to you here. You staff, we have fire chief here. Eagle here, so it'll be a good discussion.
Yeah, so this is coming back to you guys. This was initially on the council agenda in February, I think it was. April 26th. And then we did have a committee of the whole, following that there was some changes, which are in red on the version that's attached to the agenda for you guys. And that's been shared with chief and staff. And then this was going to come back to you guys a little bit sooner, but we got some clarification from Eagle, met with them. And then I thought it would be helpful for Eagle to be here in case you guys had any questions for them as well. Brent did have a conflict tonight, but between Nora and myself, we should be able to answer any questions. But really this, I don't know if that's the way to say it, but this is coming back to you guys for consideration. If you guys have questions, I certainly want you guys to ask those. We had pretty lengthy discussion. So if we don't approve it, we're going to move on. We'll continue as is. If we do, The main thing that we're looking at is just being as accurate as possible when we're tracking what our consumption is versus what we're producing. But if you guys have questions, let me know or let any of us know. Also, do you guys know our Eagle engineer by chance? I don't know if you've met. This is Don. So he's here. Just because I don't know, I know you guys have heard of his name and discussions with Nora and stuff, but I don't know if you've ever seen his face or who he was. So.
All right, we'll start out. Any questions from council for Danielle or staff or Don, chief? Regarding updates.
I'm just gonna probably reiterate what you were just stating there, Danielle. So, Chief Rucci's taken a look at this, Eagle has taken a look at this. You've taken all of our information from our meeting prior, as well as our committee of the whole, surmised everything. Everybody at this point is okay with this, what we have in front of us. Is that correct?
I don't know that I would say they're okay with it. I don't want to speak for,
Okay,
I don't want to speak for Chief.
okay.
He has reviewed it, and I think, and do you want to jump in? But I don't want to misspeak.
I
I
would
would represent your feelings.
Chief Rucci would have done the same thing. I just went with Danielle simply because, what's your take then on what we have written here?
I still have my questions. A few things. I know we talked back in our last meeting, we talked about hydrant meter to be able to calculate how much water we're actually using during our trainings. It seemed like we didn't really have a meter to be able to adapt for that. But that was a question that still hasn't been answered as far as that being able, where do we get a meter at and how is that going to be reported and when is it going to be reported? Is that monthly, weekly? Because our trainings are kind of up and down when we actually go out and do tag a hydrant.
So my understanding from our conversation, is to follow up a little bit to that, is that we would meter it when they do a training sometime, like let's say this policy goes through, we'll meter it and then we'll use that as an average, and we'll know that sometimes it might be a little bit less or more, but it gives us kind of an average basis so that they're not having to meter every single time.
I remember that they're trashing, but you're wondering
You're talking about physical meter.
the physical meter. You haven't seen a physical meter.
No, I
Do we have a physical meter?
We do, yes.
Is it 4.5 or 2.5? What's it hook up to on the hydrant?
I would have to double check with Brent. I know he told us at that committee of the whole, but I
think
don't.
that's sort of the discussion, sorry, but they had one that would go to 2-inch, but we would actually be full.
I think I remember that conversation.
That's where we were having a difficulty with it as far as being able to find that size.
The 4-inch size. So then your question is, okay, how can we go ahead and do a measurement if we don't have the appropriate meter?
And when we do our training, we can get you pretty close. We do have flow meters on our trucks. Now, are they exact? I don't, but
And that, I think that's all we're asking for,
close
If
our
the-
trucks.
because right now, if we track nothing, we're farther than if you give us a good estimate, then at least we can account for that. I mean, I don't think, and you jump in if I'm wrong, but I don't think the goal is that we're down to the gallon. I just think that we close that gap and we are as accurate as we can be when we're tracking that.
So you've got the usage meter on the fire truck.
We do have meters on there. Again, I don't put much faith into them, so we do have meters on there.
On each truck that you use, or?
The ladder truck, yes. The engine, I don't believe that we have one on the engine. But our ladder truck, yes.
truck.
And I think probably if we're needing a 4-inch meter, that we have some surrounding communities that would work with us to let us use that for the purpose of test or running this right to get the quantity, and then we could return that back to them.
So if that meter with that 4-inch measurement was provided, would you be comfortable with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then you're cool with the average as well understanding it's the average. What other issue do you have?
On the second page, under the penalties, the only question I have is any unauthorized use or damage to village hydrant. That or really throws a wrench into my program, to be honest with you. Because when you say use or damage to a village hydrant, does that make the fire department liable if we are out using a hydrant and that hydrant breaks? Is the fire department liable to fix that hydrant then?
Let's leave more unauthorized use.
It says any unauthorized use or damage. It doesn't say, it just says there's a word in there or damage to.
Right, I get it, but why would you be an unauthorized user?
The way I'm reading that and the way I actually had it brought, I went to other legal parts and asked the same question with them. They looked this over and he said the same thing. Looking at that, that does leave the book open to, they could possibly charge you for the damage to a hydrant.
A lawyer on the other side would probably look at that as an unauthorized use resulting in damage to a village hydrant. That would be how they may look at it from the other side of the law.
If that or wasn't in there and it said any unauthorized user, then yes, they would, they said that'd be fine. But as soon as you put or in there, they said that changes the subject a little bit. Because it almost opens it up to whoever the individual is using it.
So you're looking where it says unauthorized opening or use of any fire hydrant under
Yes.
the.
The or should be resulting, like Eric was suggesting.
Because we want to, number one, limit any unauthorized use, period.
Yeah.
Secondly, we also, if there is damage caused by unauthorized use only, not use by DPW, fire department, et cetera. So I get where you're coming from. You reword that pretty good.
I think I'm reading it as this is, you're authorized, so I'm thinking this is people that are unauthorized.
Right.
So that's why I'm distinguishing it that way.
I do have. It looks like at some point in this amendment, it's supposed to say penalties by unauthorized users as the title. And it looks like
Any unauthorized.
it says penalties by, and then at some point, and I did not.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So the title states penalties by any authorized,
Unauthorized.
then that would clear things up and it's left. Understand, okay.
Yeah, it looks like that unauthorized users just got cut off at some point in my changes and I missed that.
Oh, I understand.
That was in, I was just looking, that was in the version. It looks like back in April. And
Well, there's,
So it should say no, like the head, sorry, the heading should be like penalties to unauthorized users. But, and then move on to the next sentence, any unauthorized use or damage to a village. Are okay with that, James? Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Then the last thing I have, I did get contacted by neighboring departments, Elmira and Riga. They were asking about them being able to come over and use our hydrants. I did explain to them that they would have to get authorization and give a notice to the village that when they will be coming over and using the hydrants.
yeah,
They want to know, will there be a fee for them using the water for training coming over here? The reason they ask is right now, I guess they do pay a fee to Adrian City. They have a hydrant that is dedicated to them. They can use the city. They go over and use that and they pay rent on that every year. So they were wondering exactly the same coming here to the village.
so we do not have a fee, we've not talked about implementing a fee. I actually reached out to both of those fire chiefs. I called and emailed them. I didn't hear back, but I didn't have an email for the writer.
Okay.
I could not find one, but
I passed this on to Michael.
okay, good. I'm glad you got to see it then. But, yeah, that has not been discussed again. We're wanting to be accurate and we don't want them just connecting to our system without notifying us. And I think we talked about this a little bit. It's clear, like if they're responding to an emergency to help you guys, we don't obviously expect that. An emergency, we aren't even gonna look at this because the issue at hand is dealing with that. And I think it even says if they're training with EY, that they're like, just you communicating what you use is sufficient.
And sometimes they come over on their own time to train.
That's
They're
what
not
we
with
really
us.
would like to be notified that they're gonna be connecting to our system and make sure that we're then being able to go back and make sure that the hydrants are operational, that they don't have any leaks, make sure that we know what they're using. And things like that. And that would be for really both or any other, and not just for either.
We talked about maybe dead hydrants or something, or stuff that can, like you suggested, you had one that you can actually jump on, and basically jump on the bar. Or when
Yeah, sure. Okay, anything else for chief, crew chief?
you got any more? I'm all set.
Thanks,
Thank
sir.
you.
And the assumption is Eagle is okay with everything that's been being presented as well.
Yes, and, I want to be clear that we have recommendations after we did an inspection of the water system. So it was a routine thing. We're impressed by the job the village of Blissfield is doing. And, Nora and Brent, they've done a great job, but it's common for us to make suggestions when we come out and do an inspection. You could categorize this under continuous improvement.
Have you go up to the server? That's okay, just so that people can hear. I should have mentioned this too while he's going to the microphone. There is a letter as well for you guys. It's really just kind of informational for you guys too.
Yes, my name's Don Brady. I work with the state of Michigan Control. I'm assigned to the Blissfield water system, and yeah, we're okay with the policy. We appreciate the village trying to make an improvement. It's up to the DPW and the fire department to work together, and it's not that they weren't doing a good job. There were just a few things we had questions about, and we made recommendations, and Danielle and Nora are trying. Partly, I think this was to try and act on it right. So the village is doing a great job. When we did inspection, you're impressed, but we still had recommendations.
Because that's what you have to do.
Correct. That's how the game works, yeah. And things change over time, and society and water systems over time are trying to do things better. Fire departments as well. It's not that they're not doing a great job, they are. This is just a recommendation. We get a little area that could be improved in terms of communication.
So you recommended that we put this policy in place then?
Well, we recommended that they village track water loss more accurately, and we recommended that they not have unauthorized hydrant use. That's pretty uncommon for municipalities other than the municipality is responsible for the fire hydrants to be using the fire hydrants. So from that, I think partly Danielle Brent policy, which does address our recommendations, so we appreciate that. And I think it will be a good change. It's good to put down a great. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
So Don, again, the letter, I think, did help clarify a lot of probably our questions and explain it in more detail, so appreciate that.
Okay, good.
And obviously, we're all for accountability. That's what we want to do, is try to keep accurate numbers on where the water is going, if it's leaking, if we're using it for flushing, et cetera. And, I think fire department wise, I guess we didn't see it as a whole picture, because I know the DPW flushes a heck of a lot more water, maintaining our system than what the fire department would use, during a training or whatever they do. So it's kind of dropped in the bucket versus, a larger scale flushing that we have to do, unintended.
Yeah.
So is DPW maintaining or tracking those same numbers as well as Riga providing those numbers? So this is sort of across the board, just trying to be more accurate, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it is, it's small details and it's recommendations, you know, I think we could all think of probably 25 more important things that we would want to talk about.
Sure. And we did. There were some other things, but this was just one of them. And you make a good point, and we're not trying to get in the way of fire department's activities, or BW's activities, or to make things more burdensome or just harder for the DPW or the fire department. And I don't think that's the intent of the policy. So
yeah, the days of cracking a hydrant like in Brooklyn and kids playing and things like that, it just can't happen.
Yeah, that's better.
Not to tangent out too far, but obviously you're kind of our representative for the Riga water feeder to correct north. So again, not trying to drag this out, but
sure,
when can we come to a solution on this and get who really has ultimate authority and control of this? Because the way I take it is the village really been pushing to open our hydrant. What do we got to do to move that? Or sorry, our main. What do we got to do to move that forward?
That was a great question.
Yes.
And again, just having you here. So
yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I'm always happy to answer questions. So the way Eagle is organized, I work with the village of Blissfield. Because Riga is a customer of yours, they work with engineers out of the Jackson office. And so I asked those engineers if that valve could be open. And I'm waiting to hear back from them in terms of what they say. Riga is proposing to flush again, a large flush like they did in April. And I think when they're doing that, it makes sense for that valve to be closed. But after they're done with that, I don't see any reason why that valve shouldn't be open. I told my counterparts in Jackson that, and I think if anything, they should at least try and open it and see what happens. And so I'm waiting to hear back. I don't know if that valve is a Blissfield valve or is that a Riga Township valve?
It's a Riga valve.
It's a Riga valve?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why can't you be part of Riga's as well? Why does Jackson have to be?
It's just the way we split up the workload.
Well, we don't like that.
government bureaucracy.
Yeah. I mean, if there's some way with this situation is you can work this over, because with our relationship, it would seem that it's for lack of better words, dragging out. This has been a long while.
Yeah, and I appreciate the work that Blissfield did, putting a mixer in the tower and doing extra sampling.
The money that it cost, a lot of things on our end have been done, and we're waiting for the other end.
Yeah, I'm trying to push. I think we're trying to walk a little bit of a balancing act in terms of helping both communities, and that's not always easy to do. I think the main problem is the size of the mains in Riga.
Yeah.
Disinfection byproducts they're a tricky thing. So Riga and Blissfield, they sample quarterly and the numbers change. And,
because they don't even sample at the same time.
They do. They started doing.
Have they started doing that?
Yep.
Because it was not at the same time. Okay, so I thought one was like one time and one was at the other end another time.
Historically, I don't think they were.
Okay, then I misunderstood. Okay, take that back. Okay.
Yep. And another thing too is Blissfield and Riga started sampling where the water flows from Blissfield to Riga, and that information wasn't available.
That's what I'm thinking about that. Yeah.
Testing locations.
So I think that valve should be open. I don't really see it's the water comes from the tower. I don't think it makes much of a difference if it runs east or west and then into Riga. And so I am trying to push on that. I think Riga is being a little more aggressive than they have before. And from my perspective, I know I haven't been working on it as long as some other people, but I get the sense we're trying to be more aggressive in terms of addressing the problem. And So I think now's a good time to have the discussions with them. And I hope they will consider opening that valve. And
Is it appropriate to ask for a time frame, or is that not so appropriate?
I think it is. I think after they conduct their next flushing, I think is the appropriate time frame.
And will you be getting with them, or is it something we should be connecting with them, or you'll be getting back to us?
I can get back to you. I'm talking to the supervisor in our Jackson office. It's Karen Simon. And you know, she's trying to help Ryder as much as she can. I'm trying to help you as much as I can. And I think we'll be able to work it out.
So after that question, we can maybe look to hear from you then.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you communicate with Karen? Karen Simon from Jackson, do you communicate with her directly?
Oh, yes. Karen, it's Karen. Sorry.
Karen.
Spelled Karen. T-A-R-Y-N.
Spell that.
T-A-R-Y-N.
But again, ultimately, they're our customer, they're Blissfield's customer, and we should be able to have a little bit more. Yeah, input to say how, you know, we feed their system. We know our numbers are good. Our numbers are good right before that. This is a very logical fix. We've implemented things that, you know, probably weren't needed regarding the tower mixers, et cetera, on our day. Yes, it's kind of big across the board, but it wasn't necessary for the village residents. So again, we should be able to once they have a little bit more, you know, hand in the fire to say, this is the decision that we're going to go with and needs to happen.
Yeah.
We just haven't got an answer of who ultimately makes that decision and what is the timeline. I think that's what we're waiting for.
Yeah, and I think there's some added complication because their system's off like a county. And so you have multiple parties involved. And it's a difficult situation. I wish I could go back in time when they were putting that in, how to do things differently. Yeah. So,
And they are a loop system, is that correct?
yes. They loop with them themselves. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I haven't seen your agreement with Rhonda. Some of the agreements that we've looked at aren't the best between communities. So maybe at some point it makes sense to look at that. I don't, you know, if you don't feel like you have the ability to manage things like you should, it makes sense to look at that too.
Okay, because we did just kind of do another amendment to all those and change them.
Oh, yeah.
Again, let's get everybody together. Yes.
We proposed that they never looked at it. But it never got signed or.
Never signed on their end.
No.
Did we put the tower mixers down?
It was shortly before I started in 5/18/22.
That was right around the same time with this school.
They shut development earlier, 4/18.
I thought it was done before I started the manager.
Those are the exact, yeah. When did you start? You started July. They were done in May.
So they tell me, this is before my time, I started in October 2023. So I wish I had more years on this, but what I've heard is Ryder had a time maintaining residual, and then I'll close that out. But with the mixers going on at the same time, it's really hard to say. So
Yeah, and we can't get the answers on our end for what did that investment do to help rectify the situation.
yeah, so I think the valve.
And remind us, Don, what was the flushing period for Rocky, did you say?
So they flushed in April.
No, flush again.
I don't know exactly. I understand it's going to be sometime soon.
Okay.
Their intent was to flush all the water out of their system, which I don't think they had done previously. And so they are being more aggressive. It's just a difficult problem with the line that's in those mains. And the number of residents they have. They just don't use the water. So yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, but
Sure.
if somehow we all would like to see some resolution to this, and I don't want to circumvent the system, but somehow we need to have some teeth to light a fire under somebody to move this along in a more expeditious manner, I guess is what we're kind of looking at. This goes before my time on the council, but I know that it's been an issue my whole time on the council. And then not that I'm trying to pin you down because that's not my intent.
Yeah.
But somehow we all would like to see a resolution to this. To see if this actually, this money that's been invested is something that will fix the problem.
Understood, and I will push from a technical standpoint. Eagle, I think we have somewhat limited authority when it comes to municipalities working together. I wish that wasn't the case, but I think we could push from a technical standpoint. But like we discussed earlier, ultimately it may come down to the agreement between the two municipalities, how that's handled. I appreciate everything that the village is. From my standpoint, the village didn't have to close that valve, but you did close that valve in the interest of trying to help out right now. I appreciate that.
I have a question. So the mixer and stuff, that was paid for by us, correct?
Well, it's paid for by the system, so it's technically everybody on the system. But village residents, which probably wasn't necessarily needed because they is supposedly to mix up the tower that feeds that right line, wasn't really necessary for us. Our numbers are good. Right before the right meter. Right.
I just wanted to.
And they're probably good after the right meter. This is further down the line.
Yep. Your numbers are good, but they are on the high side. So even Ryan it's a good investment for the village of Blissfield. Like your residents are benefiting.
We're benefiting from it right now. Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, sir.
Yes.
Drive safe.
You got your work cut out for you, brother. We're ready.
Yeah. Blissfield's one of my favorite places, so you guys are doing it right. So not that it's easy. Yeah, pleasure to work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's not easy for anybody, especially when people, don't know the process either. So
Yeah.
we see it all the time. Thanks, Seth.
Yep.
Okay, so again, sorry, not trying to drag that out, but we do have the emergency hydrant use, non-emergency hydrant use policy in front of us. With the changes, came out correctly, the heading penalty part. So if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve that as amended.
I move to adopt the Village of Blissfield's fire hydrant use as amended policy as amended with an effective date of July 28, 2026.
I'll support.
Motion Eric and a second Sherry to adopt the Village of Blissfield fire hydrant use policy as amended with an effective date of July 28, 2026. Any further discussion? If not, Lisa, call roll.
Sherry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Tim, Bill, Eric.
Yes.
Mike.
Now, new business, we have the recommendation from Administrator regarding the aquatic center filter stain replacement. Danielle, can you talk about this one? Any updates really?
We talked about this a little bit during the budget process for next year's budget. I know we're not quite there yet, but I would like to do this in the off season after we close the pool instead of before, so that we don't delay in the opening to get it taken care of. So I do have two proposals for B&B pools. That is who does our opening and closing they're the most familiar with our pool. There's only a couple places in Michigan that even do this. One of them is for $27,500, and that is with them. Well, they actually contract out a company that would back everything out. And the second one is for $19,500, and that would be us using our back truck. I talked to, obviously we don't have that yet, but I talked to Brent about it. We should have that when the pool season ends, and we can do that work to save a little bit of money. So I am recommending that we award the 19.5. That way I can work with them to get scheduled. Our intent for funding on this was to use those donated maintenance funds that we received, in addition to a hydrant that's gonna go out there as well. But if you have questions, let me know. But I do also want to clarify, I guess, as well. It's in the quote if you look at it, but when we pull that sand out, it will damage the nozzles and the components in there. So that'll be removed and replaced with it as well. So that'll all be, which will be good because then it will make sure that it's not plugged up and that the water is filtering through those in the sand sufficiently.
Any questions?
It's in the scope of work about laterals. What are laterals? Can you help me with that?
So the pipe there, it runs across. I'm not, as the tank has all the sand, and underneath the sand, there's all of the lines that run across, and they're calling those laterals. And then there's the nozzles on those. So the water comes through and it filters up through the sand, and then we backwash that and everything as well. But that's what's filtering anything contaminants or dirt and stuff.
Well, I would move to award for replacement of the Blissfield Aquatic Center filter sand to the proposal utilizing the village's back truck.
I'll support.
Well, one second here to award the replacement for the Blissfield Aquatic Center filter sand. The proposal utilizing the village's back truck. Any further discussion? Not Lisa, call roll.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen.
Yeah.
Mike,
Carried. Number 3, administrative gross goals. That's something implemented last year regarding our checks and balances. And part of that smart grading system for Danielle, and she did compile those. We have them in front of us. We discussed this at the other meeting, so anyone has any input or changes, otherwise those as consolidated.
Move to approve the village administrator's 2026-2027 performance goals as presented. As amended by council to serve as the performance objectives with the upcoming evaluation period.
I'll support.
George Tim, second, Eric, to approve the village administrator's 2026-2027 performance goals as presented. To serve as performance objectives for the upcoming evaluation period. Further discussion. Please call roll.
Sherry,
Yes.
Gwen.
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim, Mike,
Carried. Reports. That's the police chief report for June 2026. Chief, anything that you want to mention from your report?
No, okay, thank you.
No. Anything from council for chief? You had mentioned you had a pretty good speeder, right? What was that, 60 and some, 37? Small ETOH. Yeah,
I know you're referencing one.
we got a pretty good one, right? So again, I think this was just a few days after discussion on speeds, and we did have one of our.
Oh, no, are you talking about the one that going 90?
Yeah, out in the, yeah.
Yeah.
So, again. I know resources are limited, but you guys are out there, you guys are doing a great job, so thanks for that. DVA Main Street. Obviously, Laura's not here. If you have questions, just send them to Laura, Danielle, Parks and Rec. Gwen, you want to mention anything?
Taylor is fantabulous That's the biggest thing that I can say. I think that you guys can probably notice, a little bit of a difference in the reporting style and, the numbers that she is, going with here. And you're able to see things, I think, very clearly. I'm very happy with how things are moving along. I don't have anything to say in addition to that. Danielle, something?
Okay. I guess heads up, I know it's a few months out, but in September, we have Labor Day is that Monday, which planning commission normally meets then. And that'll be moved to Tuesday, which is the regular scheduled meeting in rec. So both meetings will be the same night. I've seen the full meeting in a part. And we'll share that with the public, but just a heads up for you guys and the residents.
Which one are you going to?
I'm gonna go to Parks and Rec and then come to planning, because planning will be looking at more than.
Now we got the building and planning and water treatment plant. Nora, welcome. Thanks for being here. Question for Nora.
Nor we usually say it when you're, and I hope you hear it, that we always appreciate your reports because they're very thorough. Thanks. Love it.
Yeah, that's thing. Yeah. Thank you for Laura. Move on. Council discussion. Go on table. Sherry, anything?
Nothing I can think of right now.
Jim? Eric?
I'm good.
Brian?
I do, and Danielle is gonna be bringing it up for discussion.
You want me to do that now and wait?
Sure. Do it now.
I had a couple of council members reach out to me today and inquire about the budget. So I had reached out to you guys last week with 2 questions so that I had some directions on how to prepare the draft budget. One was the 3% versus the 4% cost of living increase, and the other one was the position not being filled or not being filled at the water treatment plant. So I do want to preface that I asked you guys so that I could have guidance how to finalize the draft budget to put on the website. I obviously have to prepare a budget notice and things like that. So I have to have my costs for that. You guys, that was not a formal vote. You guys can change your mind. You have your final vote. And at the budget hearing where we can make any changes to budget if needed. But I did have one council member that indicated they wanted to keep the position at the wastewater treatment plant. The other 6 all indicated that they were willing to not fill it, but all 6 of them said only with the condition that we revisit it and that I provide information and updates how things are going and check in. Which I do fully intend to do, and I'll check in with the staff, things like that, or once we have some things answered, we'll readdress it. The 3% versus the 4%, I had 2 say 4%, I had 3 say 3%, and I had 1 that said they would be good with the 4% so long as the budget could sustain it. If the budget could not, then they would vote no, or they would say no and just stay with the 3%. But again, so I've drafted it with the 3% and not filling that position, but you guys will have your public hearing. You'll be able to take comments there'll be a public hearing where we'll hear from the public. They can submit written comments and you guys will have the final review. I've got 1 binder done and ready to go as kind of our template, and Lisa and Maddie are going to help me get all of those ready. So I'll get you guys copies of that. And then if there's any changes, we can reprint and do what we need to at that point. Thanks. Yes.
Okay. So obviously we'll talk about, you're gonna bring that to the first meeting in September, right, for adoption.
Correct. That is scheduled for that. I think it's 14. That's close.
If she's ready, you guys want to bring it before him?
Oh, I just, no.
Okay. All right. Stick around, public comment. Sure, Chief.
Being up here, let's bring it up. Next month, August 19th, I'm gonna send a flyer over to Danielle. If you would please pass it out to all the council for us. August 19th of next month, we have a training going on behind the fire station on the railroad. We have Norfolk Southern coming. This is a very big deal to Lenawee County. They only do 8 of these trainings throughout the US a year. So they picked Blissfield this year, come here. It's gonna be pretty big training within the county.
She's given us that information and
We scheduled
we're
ourselves.
scheduled ourselves.
Perfect, okay. Well, I'll be glad to see you guys there. I was just hoping that everybody's seen that coming along.
Yep. How many afternoon session?
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people involved in this one, so.
It'll be interesting.
Does this include like county emergency services and that?
Yes, the emergency manager will be included in this in the county. County commissioner will be there. Villages, townships, cities, they're all gonna be invited, so. And then on top of that, the county specialized teams of hazmat, tech rescue, and then fire departments on top of that, so. It's open up to Lenawee County, and we're also starting to open it up to Monroe County. We do have special teams coming from Jackson and Washington also coming down to train with this. So it's gonna be a good training. It starts at noon and it'll go until 10 PM that night. So we have 2 different sessions that are gonna go on that day.
Police representatives as well, correct?
I'm sorry.
Police representatives from the state and locals as well.
Yes. Yep. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys gonna have donuts and coffee and stuff?
Sure.
I have one question. I don't think I understand. Are we just gonna be observing the training? Yes, you're just observing it. That's it.
I have a question too. Do you know if there's any 911 dispatchers coming as well?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
It is opened up to county dispatchers, you know. It's more or less aware, it's gonna be a good training for us as county official, the county specialized teams and the fire departments. Because it's more about the chemicals, the hazardous. Norfolk Southern bringing us in. So don't think of just railroad, this is also highway too. So there's a lot of chemicals that run up and down this 223 corridor. So it opens it up to all that. If something massive ever did happen, it would involve everybody, instead of the village and the township area.
The reason why I ask is the 16 years that I was a dispatcher for Jackson County, not one time do I ever remember having any kind of training for derailment with all the train tracks that go through Jackson.
We have a pretty good relationship with dispatch and Lenways, so yes, they will be there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Further? No? All right. If not, next meeting, August 10th, 2026. And if nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 6:54 PM.
Or motion Bill and a second Tim to adjourn our meeting 6:54.
Get it written down.
Bill just gets it every time he's on it. He's on it.
Lisa or power roll.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen?
Yeah.
Jerry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill, Mike,
Yes.
thank you.
Carries.
Thank you.